Good morning. It's time to get started on our math for today. Been having some technical difficulties, but hopefully we are good to go now. So I had planned for us to do a different lesson for today to move on based on what the schedule says, but I decided that we are going to do one more day of three-dimensional shapes, and we'll start our next lesson on Monday because tomorrow's Flexi Friday. So we're going to do some more work with three-dimensional shapes. We've been working on them the past 2 days. We did cubes and then we introduced the other ones yesterday. So we're going to go through all of the ones that we've learned with these shape posters. And then we're going to do a little riddle for some of them. It's just to give us a little bit more practice. And then I'll have an additional piece of practice for you linked on the webpage. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We have our cone. Right? We have our cone here, and for the cone, they do not consider, if it is completely round, they actually do not consider that an edge. So a cone does not have an edge, and they also don't consider this area all right here. They do not consider that a face. So the bottom of it is actually the only face on this shape. Right, our next one is the cube, and the cube is the first shape we talked about. It has all of these faces that are made from squares, all equal sized squares. It has 6 faces, and then we've got our edges, which go from one point to the next, and the vertex is actually where you have 2 of the edges meet. We have our cylinder. Our cylinder is similar to the cone as far as the base of it is that circular face, and then we have the top of it, which is also a circular face. This has no vertexes. It is nothing where we have edges meeting, and they actually do not consider this right here an edge when we're talking about three-dimensional shapes. We have our rectangular prism, which is similar to a cube. A cube is a type of rectangular prism, except a rectangular prism is made up of rectangles as well as the squares, but not just squares like the cube. We have our pyramid. Now, a pyramid can have a square base typically, but sometimes it can have a triangular base. And then that square base has a triangle coming up from each one, meeting at this vertex at the top. And then we have our triangular prisms, which are similar to the rectangular prisms, except as you can see here, it is made of a triangle. And then we have our sphere. Okay, a sphere is just one continuous solid where it has no edges, no vertices, and they actually don't consider this a face either. All right, so let's go ahead to our riddles. All right, so our first riddle is, and all of the shapes we just looked at are the answers to these riddles. I have 0 edges, 0 vertices, and 2 faces. What am I? Okay, so it has no points and has no edges, which means that it has to be one of our shapes that's circular. But it does have 2 faces. So I'm thinking of all the shapes that we have that are rounded, right? We have our sphere, we have our cylinder, and we have our cone. Now the cone has one little point at the top, right? And it also only has one face on the bottom. So the cone wouldn't work here. So then we have our sphere and we have our cylinder. So which of those 2 do you think is the answer to our riddle? If you said cylinder, you are correct. All right, riddle number 2. I have 12 edges, 8 vertices, and 6 equal faces. There's your clue for that one, is those equal faces. What am I? So 12 edges, 8 vertices, and 6 equal faces. Equal, equal, equal. What shape did we look at that all of the faces were exactly the same? If you said cube, you are correct. All right, riddle number 3. I have 8 edges, 5 vertices, and 5 faces. What am I? Interesting. Well, rectangular prisms have way more edges. And they definitely have an even number of faces, so that doesn't work. So I'm thinking of what shape So not a rectangular prism, not a cube. Can't be any of our rounded shapes. So what do we have left? I'm thinking of a shape, and you may have already thought about it, that has a square bottom, and then it has faces that meet up at a point. So the square would be my one face, and then the 4 triangles that are going up to the point would be the 4 other faces to make 5. If you are thinking pyramid, you are correct. I have 0 edges, 0 vertices, and 0 faces. What am I? Well, there is only one shape that has none of those things, and that is a shape that is very different from all the other ones we looked at. What shape do you think is the answer to this riddle? If you said sphere, you got it, and you are becoming a shape expert. So I have 0 edges. All right, I know it's going to be a rounded shape. I have 1 vertex, so 1 single point, and 1 face. What rounded shape has 1 vertex, 1 point? And rounded shape we know is because it has no edges. We already did sphere. We already did cylinder. So our only rounded shape that's left is the cone. Good job. And our last riddle, I have 12 edges. Okay. So the cube had 12 edges. I have 8 vertices. Okay. And I have 6 faces. So this sounds really similar to the cube, but there's one thing different. It doesn't say equal faces. So what other shape did we have that's like a cube, but it's not made up of equal faces? It's not made up of all of the same shape. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, and you're thinking rectangular prism, then you just got your last riddle correct. All right, guys, so you can go ahead and come out of this video, go back to the webpage, and see what link I posted for you to get some more practice with your 3D shapes.